Hey, buddy, cheers for coming on. We're now live.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk a lot of trash about MMA right now.
I'm excited just to hear it and weigh in with a few opinions myself. So, tell me a bit about yourself and tell me a bit about your background.
I'm from New York, born and raised. I'm one of those people that went into life after like things like high school and thought, I don't want to do college. I'll just go work. My mother and her generation, they went and got a job and they didn't have to go to college. And then you get to that point, you work a long time and realize, wow, this is not what I want to do. I need a career. I need something to like. So I actually went back to college later in life. I'm 33, gonna be 34 in a couple of weeks. And I went back to college later in life, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because it made me have a stronger desire than I would have years ago. And I always thought, okay, I have a good idea for getting information to people. I like to write. I thought, I want to do something I'm good at, and it comes natural, and it was writing. So I went back to college for journalism. I just graduated this past June, but I've been writing MMA for about going on close to 4 years now. I've written for different sites. I've written for PWP Nation. I've written for Last Word on Sports, and then they merged with MMA Sucker, and that's where I write now. And I've been the senior editor at MMA Sucker for 2 years now. And shout out to MMA Sucker. They're a really good site, up and coming. They have good content. It's based out of Canada, so it's local stuff. But that's pretty much the story. I'm one of those people that said, you know what, it's not too late to go and find out what you love, and it was journalism, and I like to do that kind of stuff. So I got into it late, and I'm in that position where I'm like, I was a prospect, now I'm going pro and trying to move into that making money part of journalism, which is hard in general, but even harder in MMA where there's not a lot of money. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
What started you off with like the idea of getting involved in podcasting as well?
Podcasting, pretty much, it was just diversifying my skill set for going into the work market later, and and luckily we live in a generation and time where it's so easy to do. I mean, for anybody out there that wants to do podcast or interested, it's so easy. All the technology is there for free. You can get quality stuff, video, audio, and it was like, man, I get a chance to diversify my skill set and have fun and talk about what I wanted to talk about. So the first podcast I did was with a good friend of mine called Cheap Seats and the Stick Man. We talked about everything. We talked about movies, comics, TV shows, sports. We had on like some MMA guests and all kinds of things. We even did a show post Trump election and politics, which was fun to do and sad at the same time. And then I moved on to doing a exclusive podcast for MMA Sucker called Sucker Shots, where the setup was I would have on a guest every week, and we'd do fight picks for an upcoming UFC or Bellator card. I interview them. Now I moved into the Fight Strength podcast with Phil DeRue, and I just started this week another podcast called Empire State Sports Talk. It's a New York based sports talk show, and again, just diversify my skill set, trying to get more information out there, get myself out there, and it's just fun. It's easy to do, but it is time consuming because in the end, it's like a radio show, a DIY radio show. But podcasting is fun. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but I enjoy the experience despite the extra unpaid work sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the beauties for me with, my passion with sort of podcasting. I've had a wide range of guests on here, from like porn stars to obviously Phil, to conspiracy theorists. Like I'm just there. I just want to connect with people, talk to them, and kind of I'm just interested in people and like their life choices and understanding how individuals work and what their passions are and why they do it. I live sort of in a small town called Hastings in England, and it's like 78,000 people here, and I'm connecting with people in America and chatting with guys like yourself, and do you know what I mean? And I just think like for me that was why my passion for podcasting started, as well as the Joe Rogan experience. I was just like, this is
Yeah.
fucking sick, like I want to get involved, and I've been close to like podcasting with him, but hasn't quite happened yet.
I want to know how the interview with the porn star went, and what was your first question for them?
Oh man, I can't even remember, but it was good. Like she was, she was great to come on, open, completely honest about everything. Well, my first question was just tell me a bit about yourself and your
Yeah.
background and everything like that. And
Mm.
then we spoke about the porn industry, and then she's also a nutritionist and
Mm.
plays the drums as well. So
Oh,
we was like, she was talking about how people kind of sometimes judge her or whatever because she's a porn star, and everyone
yeah.
just thinks, oh, some dumb woman or whatever. And then what I started to notice, obviously, like, she's got many layers to her personality.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed that podcast because it's just great to connect with people and hear their stories and why they're making the moves. And she's like a massive entrepreneur. Do you know what I mean? She's just like, I'm promoting all of these bands and promoting this, and I'm starting my own shows doing rock music. And I was just like, oh, fucking hell, there is more to just you going to a set and having sex. Do you know what I mean? Which is, fair enough, fair point.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, and it's fun. I mean, you like you're saying it, you really get to peel back the layers on a person because it's not like a set TV show interview where okay, we got an 8 minute 9 minute segment, we'll talk about main things, and then they cover these specific topics sometimes for a certain guest. You could really go into stuff and really get to learn a person. That's what's awesome about like podcasting in general. It's so free will and open, wide open.
Yeah, it's not like that little TV segment where you can kind of be like, you can only say this, and we
Yeah.
should only talk about this subject, and
Yep.
oh, you can't really speak about that, and we're gonna have to edit that out, and it's
Yep.
just like, we're here, let's get the fucking ball rolling, let's chat about whatever we
Yeah.
want. I mean,
Yeah.
I know YouTube's Google are like censoring certain subjects now
Yeah.
on YouTube. Apparently, they're taking down. I don't really know the story too much there. I haven't looked into it, but I think videos that they deem as hateful or whatever are getting blocked or whatever. And I'm not sure whether I'm for or against it because I think like we should all have free speech, to an
Yeah.
extent. And where do you draw the line on what's hateful and what's not? If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's the thing that happens when something gets so big and so, I don't want to say YouTube's corporate, but when it hits such a big size and it's about making money, you have to make certain people happy. And nowadays, with social media is like the best thing ever and it's the worst thing ever because now you find out how you can't make everybody happy, and anybody who's unhappy with anything, even if they're looking to be unhappy just to be noticed, will let their voice be heard, and it affects how people makes decision. It's like it's free speech that's almost anti-free speech at times.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to give everyone a voice, but
Yeah.
also that with that brings a lot of negativity and trolls, as people like to call it.
Oh yeah.
People that just want to fucking leave a comment for the sake of leaving a comment.
Yeah, like they want to go on and start a beef with somebody famous to like, oh look, they answered me and we bantered back and forth. It's like
Yeah.
you just look like a fool, man. You
I
just
know.
look like a person no one wants to be friends with.
I know, man. I massively agree when I see trolls like going in. Sometimes it's funny, man. Like you have got to laugh, but at other times you're kind of going for that easy reaction, easy likes, trying to gain some form of celebrity appeal or whatever, just by
Yep.
being a complete cock.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. And unfortunately, the way news is covered, you have so many articles that will put tweets into the articles and embed them, and sometimes these people get famous. I mean, I've seen a lot of stories. I enjoyed them, but it was like say about Trump, and it was about he would make a weird tweet, people would answer, and the answers and responses would be hilarious. But you also have those other people who might get famous from the nonsense responses, and they play off of that and get noticed off of that. It's like this. I mean, I don't know if it's like the same way UK. I bet it is, but like in the US, it's more about whatever you can to get famous. Like regular people have taken the idea of any press is good press to like the next level.
Nah, man, I agree. Over here, we have sort of the same thing with certain people, and it doesn't really matter what they're doing. They get in the limelight. They can say what they want. They can be flamboyant about it or controversial just for the sake of being controversial to gain some publicity. If that it's someone will go on TV. They've got their 5 minutes of like limelight, and they just spout out a load of controversial shit. Loads of people start seeing it on the internet, sharing it, commenting on it, and then suddenly that person's got their own fucking podcast, YouTube channel with a million views. And there's people like me, and I'm just like, I'm a fairly down to earth guy. I'm just here to connect with people, and I'm just thinking, maybe I should just start spouting some proper radical, controversial shit and fucking get the views.
Yeah, because and it hurts people that are just trying to, play it straight and professional because like, well, you're not that interesting. Well, yeah, I'm trying to be a professional. I'm trying to do it both ways. I'm not just out here to be a fool. And it gets the people have a certain image or reputation, and especially I don't know, they have it here where they have these talk shows on like even like ESPN or some of the big networks where it's just two people bantering and just looking to say the most ludicrous thing that gets the most notice. And these are like hugely rated. Like, and it's for the people that are, unwilling to say dumb stuff because they're not dumb people. They're kind of lost in the shuffle because they just do their jobs like a normal person, try to do the best job they can. It's it's this fame world, the society we live in. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like sad in a way because with these talk shows and that, everyone's just looking for that one punchline, So you can use like the McGregor Mayweather fucking press conferences. Oh. It's just like to me, it just reminded me of WWE. Like it was just like scripted, like going out there like fuck the Mayweathers, and they're all like trying to drop that one witty line. Yeah. And I'm just like, whatever happened to just stepping out there, putting on a great fight, and that's it. Like I get the trash talking, but for me, it was just embarrassing trash talking. Like it just felt so staged. Like in my opinion, I don't know. It felt like someone had written out a script. With McGregor, with Mayweather putting the Irish flag round him, and then McGregor picking up his bag, and he's only got $5,000 in. And I was like, am I watching WWE here? Like this doesn't seem like it's natural. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and at least with WWE, you're getting into it knowing this is supposed to be coming. It's supposed to be outlandish. It's supposed to be ridiculous. One of the worst things, like I wasn't surprised, and I got what they were doing the first day, the second day when they made the decision to go 4 days in a row in 4 cities, and it's crazy. They went from the first couple of days where everybody's like, "Man, I didn't care about this fight; that was stupid." Now I kind of want to watch it. It's so ridiculous. Now it's become a freak show. To the second couple of days, you realize, wow, this is really just the proverbial snake oil salesman at the circus trying to just sell a nonsense product. And I was ready to turn up. Like I refuse to watch this fight, because I think it's just a overblown exhibition. But yeah, like I'm not in an era. I mean, not too long ago, Mike Tyson, during the Lennox Lewis lead up, I think it was, he said, "I'm going to eat your children." So I mean, nothing's going to be worse than that.
No.
But I guess I'm used to it. I've gotten desensitized to it because that's how culture is. That you have to do whatever you can to get the most notice. The more outlandish, the more social media, because social media is so powerful that you can promote without paying for it. So it's like the more crazier, the more weird audio clip or video clip you could put out there, it helps build things up. And it's now you see other fighters trying to mimic what McGregor and what Mayweather are doing. And I agree with you. I've seen stories where people say, "Oh man, everybody's watching McGregor and Mayweather, and nobody's talking about Canelo and Triple G," because they don't have to. Everybody knows that fight is amazing. You don't have to sell, man. If you even care about if you're trying to get the mainstream fan, okay, I get you. But for these are two niche kind of sports anyway. For the fans, and if this is a great fight, they don't got to sell. They just got to stand next to each other and say, "Oh, this fight in a couple of weeks, and I'm sold." For Mayweather and McGregor, everybody knows it's nonsense. So they have to sell the hell out of it to make it go, well, it's probably a train wreck. Maybe I want to see a train wreck today. All right. So.
No, man, that's it. It's a massive. I think Teddy Atlas said something like the promotion's working with even to the like Paulie Malignaggi leaked photos and videos. It's just let's just keep everyone talking about it because more people are going to think McGregor's got a chance, and more people are going to buy it, and more people are going to think he's going to win, and it just ain't going to happen.
No, I'm disappointed by MMA. I mean, I know. I think we all kind of know. There's a large segment of MMA fans that are just meatheads, that don't get it. Like these are the people when it's like a good grappling, exchange, and they start booing, or they don't get the idea of the strategy of it. And they want everybody to knock each other's head up. But the fact that so many of them are just blinded that they think McGregor's going to win. Now, I shout out to my boy Paulie Gloves. He's a striking coach for ATT, American Top Team. He made a great analogy saying like it's kind of like an all-American wrestler or just a high-level wrestler going into like an ADCC competition. Now, this is not to say McGregor doesn't know what he's doing in there. He has the idea, but this is going into a totally different sport, totally different way of scoring, a totally different way of doing things. I don't get it. Even you can try to sell me, oh, he's got power. I don't get that. He fought Miguel Cotto, Ricky Hatton, Juan Manuel Marquez, Victor Ortiz. He fought all these different people, good punchers, fast punch. Shane Mosley. He's only been rocked once in his entire career. I get he's 40, but this guy has had he has had no boxing fights, and he even got rocked in MMA. Come on, Nate Diaz rocked this guy and beat him up, and Nate Diaz has no defense.
Yeah. No, man. I mean, just to throw a few other names in the list: Canelo, Oscar De La Hoya,
yes,
Manny Pacquiao.
Yep. Yeah, come on, these are the greats of a generation. These are some of the best fighters ever, not just the last decade. And the only guy that came close, which I take pride in, is my boy Oscar De La Hoya. But he stupidly, put his jab in his back pocket the last few rounds. But he's the closest, and he got a split decision. And that was a long time ago. Yeah. This guy fought some of the great. He made Juan Manuel Marquez one of the best ever. Great counterpuncher, one of the best IQ fighters ever. Just look like a okay boxer, a good boxer. I mean, he made it look easy against. I don't. If you watch Conor fights, for all these people that know Conor, he gets hit. It's not like he has superb defense and he's like Anderson making people move and, these reflexes. He is willing to take a shot. So now you're going in there with a guy who's willing to take a shot against a guy who's maybe the best defensive boxer of all time. Like, the traps he's going to set, the things he's going to show Conor that he's never seen in his life. And the funny thing, I've also seen different people who understand both boxing and MMA. They've actually been saying, and these are some people that are in the MMA industry, saying boxers hit harder because they've been training their entire life to use these, and they know how to use them. And he doesn't get it. Like, I mean, and the fact that the fans don't get it, it's maddening. It makes me go crazy.
I know, man. Like, as well, it's world class. I've seen like amateur boxers hitting a bag. And then you watch world-class boxers striking a bag. And just the difference in technique, power, movement, the footwork's just a fucking on a whole different level.
Yeah.
And some of these amateurs or semi-pros have had 20 bouts, 21 bouts, 30 bouts at an amateur level, and they don't look nowhere near as good as the professional, the world-class boxers. And then you're looking at McGregor, who's had 0 and 0, and I'm just thinking, what the fuck is going on? And Showtime, obviously, I think they're doing that segment, like 20-minute segments on the fights, on the build-up, and I think episode 2 they went to Conor McGregor's hometown, to like where he started doing his boxing gym. And there's all these fighters are boxers, and then there was no fight with Conor McGregor on the wall, and the coach was like, some fighters they come off the wall for certain reasons. And I was thinking, that guy, Conor McGregor, was never on the wall to come off the wall. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, I don't know much about his career, but I think he did amateur boxing for a while, didn't do very good, or did okay, saw the MMA game and was like, fuck it, like, I'll go do that. My striking's going to be good for MMA.
Yeah.
And then, beat people up and made his way up the ladder. Like, and that's no disrespect to people who fight in the MMA and strike in MMA, but we're talking about purists and elitists and experts with their hands in boxing, and people who are just well-rounded in MMA. It is totally two totally different sports.
Yeah. I mean, I just it's infuriating. Like, I get it. Like, this is a money play. I mean, this is in the smartest thing about all of this is he's doing a great job of really making a lot of money, and that's a good thing. I mean, an athlete's career is so short, if I don't know if I believe it, this supposed he might get $100 million purse. I don't know about that, but I mean, I guess that's assuming a lot of people buy it for $100. I would never want to buy that, but he's getting a chance to really make huge money. I mean, it's beneficial to the UFC because if he goes back to the UFC, he's a huge selling, star coming off of this. Floyd has his tax issues, so he stands to make a lot of money, but. I mean, it's just the cases try people make. Oh, Conor's got power. He's youthful. The thing about this is, I'm sure some of the people trying to make excuses, reasons for Conor is, oh, Floyd, man, he's gonna probably take him lightly. Floyd Mayweather is 49-0. This is a chance for him to go 50-0. This guy has a massive ego. He wants to be the best ever. He wants to be looked at as the best ever. He wants to have an unblemished record. Like if he was some guy that was really desperate for money, I mean, who maybe is with the taxes, I'd be like, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he loses. He wants to set up a trilogy. Like this is some crazy stuff. Maybe he's doing it, but he doesn't want to lose. He wants to get 50-0, undefeated, beat the superstar of MMA, and then go off and make a ton of money. And he's not going to take this guy lightly. Like he's going to be very serious about this fight. And I mean, I think honestly, this is Floyd doesn't knock many people out. I think this could be the fight, and I think that's why I picked it because he can get a knockout, go 50-0 knockout, and end his career.
Yeah, devastating. I mean, what do you think about the talk of Floyd Mayweather bringing up like next time when we do our next fight, we'll do it in the octagon? What do you think? Do you reckon that's a possibility?
No, because I don't think he wants to lose. I mean, there was a time where a lot of people said he was ducking Antonio Margarito, and Antonio Margarito was like a bad. He fought Manny Pacquiao. He's the guy that cheated and used lace gloves against Miguel Cotto. I mean, he was a guy that just came forward big, tough Mexican fighter. So he people thought he ducked him. People thought he ducked Manny Pacquiao, and then he finally fights him. I mean, maybe he the money wasn't right. Maybe he was waiting until Manny slowed down a little bit, but he doesn't want to lose. He doesn't want to take chances. I mean, there's no doubt he's taken tough fights. Yeah, he fights a lot of great fighters, but he's hard. He doesn't always fight the best guys available in their prime. He fought Canelo youngish kind of in the game, but I don't think he wants to lose. So if they were going to MMA, all of a sudden, I think Conor's got to be the favorite. Conor, that's just crazy. That is, it'll flip because of his ability to kick and do some of the stuff he can do. So I think that's just nonsense. It's all talk. It's maybe more reason to try to bring people in. Like, oh, I want to see that, and if whoever wins, maybe it'll go MMA and they'll rematch it. I could not see that. And I think I even saw a comment, Conor. They asked him the same thing, and he was like, whatever. He's lying. He's not serious about that.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get folded up into a chair.
Yeah, he would be in trouble. I mean, if this guy started throwing some, because that's the thing about Conor. Everybody knows about his hands. He can kick. He does some unorthodox kicks, spin kicks. If he started doing that stuff like body kicks to Floyd, oh, forget about it. Because he is the longer fighter. He can keep his distance by just doing that. I mean, we all saw what he did with Nate Diaz, just using kicks. Like, oh, Floyd wouldn't be prepared for that. Like, he'd be in serious trouble. So there's no way he wants any of that.
What do you think about, I don't know whether you've seen it, the video of the knockdown between Paulie and Conor? Have you seen that yet?
Yeah, I saw it this morning. It's interesting because I was totally in the camp of Paulie Malignaggi, and I thinking, oh man, it's probably just bull crap. And the way they're sending, especially, I forgot the guy's name, the South African fighter that came out a month or so ago talking about that. He trained with them, and Conor's camp tried to put out a word on him and him beating him up to just say, whatever. That, come on, I hit him at will. Like, this is nonsense. I thought we were going to keep it in there, but I was behind Paulie now, but it's weird. It definitely does not look like a push. I don't know if it's a knockdown. Maybe he was rattled before. I mean, it's interesting, but then there's other things you have to factor in. One, Paulie Malignaggi, for as good as he is, he's not Floyd Mayweather. Two, Paulie Malignaggi is pseudo-retired. Like, this guy wasn't training. This guy pretty much was like getting ready for analysis for the Showtime, presentation, and Conor called him up. So I mean, yeah, he probably keeps in shape, but it's different than Conor, who's been in camp for 4 months. It seems like preparing for this fight for a guy that just got off the plane and isn't in great shape anyway. So I mean, if Conor legit maybe knocked him down, that's fantastic. I mean, good for him. And maybe it shows he really has come along in his boxing. But to knock down a Paulie Malignaggi, who isn't really even in training and is retired to doing stuff against Floyd. I mean, it's like, even if Paulie was training, and a sparring partner, he's still not Floyd Mayweather.
Nah.
It just, but I mean, it is interesting. It makes a case for Conor. It probably legitimizes him a little bit more. But again, context. Who knows what was going on? Who knows if the first 4 rounds, Conor was just getting his ass handed to him. Again, who knows?
Yeah, because I think the knockdown, Paulie said, come in the later rounds, and obviously if he hasn't been training and they pulled him in just after he got off the plane, apparently.
Yeah.
He's going to be fatigued. His legs are going to be heavy, and it's the second time of him sparring. I mean, I've been following Paulie Malignaggi's Twitter quite a lot today, and people have been doing frame by frame analysis and sending it to him.
Oh yeah.
And the way it looks now in some of the images, because I thought it was a knockdown, but the way it looks in some of the images now is you can see Conor McGregor's hand on the back of Paulie's head pushing him down, and then he throws. I want to say it's a right. He throws a right and misses Paulie, and Paulie kind of goes on the deck, and you've got Cortez, the referee, and you can hear just slightly in that clip. Cortez goes no or something, he says no basically.
Yeah.
So that's the referee's way of saying no knockdown, it's illegal or whatever. And everyone's also questioning why did they stop the footage that was leaked within the why did they stop it there? Why not show Joe Cortez giving the count or whatever, just to prove even more that this referee, who's a world-class referee, is also saying, yeah, that was a knockdown, starts counting. But they've analysed it frame by frame now, and I've got to say, whoever fucking recorded, Dana White issued the videos, whoever recorded it and what angles they got from it, they must have got 5 or 6 different angles, and they was these two look good, and then everyone's talking about it, promotion. Don't get me wrong, I've got no doubt in my mind, Conor, I think I love a little bit of the footage. Conor lands a mean left hand to Paulie whilst they're standing and fucking jolts his head back. And I was that's a good strike, but again, it's later on in the round. Paulie didn't really look rocked from that strike, and it almost looks like these two bits of footage have been edited together and they happened at different times in the fight.
Yeah, it has to. I mean, it has to be factored in how much the gloves make a difference. I mean, the distribution of power. Yeah, Conor's still going to have power, but the distribution of power and as good as Paulie Malignaggi is, I mean, Paulie can get hit sometimes. So, I mean, he's an older fighter, so it's I saw that too, and it's that's a good shot, but it's again, the context of it all, the difference of where Paulie's at to where Floyd is at. I mean, it just stinks of sleazy promoter I sometimes the stuff Dana White does, I just don't get it. I mean, he's it's just sleazeball kind of weird stuff, and I'm not a big fan of it. And I'm hoping most fans are wise to that. It's a bunch of BS, and they're trying to just sell a fight. It's nonsense.
Yeah, we'll go off on a little tangent from the McGregor-Mayweather fight and talk about Dana White with the Tyron Woodley scenario of how he come out and was Tyron Woodley isn't getting GSP fight, and hating on Tyron Woodley and saying you should have taken it to him. But in my opinion, Tyron Woodley done everything perfect. He didn't need to. He's the champ with the belt. He didn't get taken down. I think it was, is it Damian Maya? I can't pronounce his name very well.
Yeah, Damian Maya.
Yeah, he's some sick takedown guy.
Yes.
Had 20 attempts on the takedown, 21 attempts on the takedown on Tyron. Didn't execute one. And it's just this guy's the champ for a reason. You probably could have finished it, but he's why am I going to risk it? I'm the champ here. Dana White, do your job and promote me. And these kind of average MMA fans who watch it obviously booing it because they don't appreciate the art form.
Yep.
You know what I mean? How hard it is to stop 21 takedowns from a guy who is literally the cream of the crop. Yep.
I mean, it's two things. One, and to anybody that was bothered by it, one, it came out after the fight. This guy Woodley had a possible labrum tear. He even said he couldn't even throw certain shots. So and the second thing is, we actually had Joanna Jacek on the Fight Strength podcast. Phil trains her, and I posed the question to her. I wanted to get her thoughts on it because we know she's friendly with Dana White. She's kind of one of Dana's favorites, but she's also knows Tyron because Tyron, sometimes trains at ATT. He's affiliated with it. And as I'm reading his quote after the next the day later, she was even like, why would he say that? She even was like, damn, that's kind of messed up to say. And he made, the comments about, oh, if you ask any fans if they want to see Tyron Woodley fight again, they're probably going to say no and everything. She definitely was torn. She's friends with both, so she kind of tried to play in between, point. But even she was like, that's an amazing performance. Like, that's like for the fans, I don't get it. Like, that's why I love Damian Maia, and I was rooting for either one. Whoever one I was happy with, I just love his story. But this guy is the last of a dying breed. He's the specialist, and he has one key way to beat you. I mean, he can throw the strikes a little bit, the setup. He has one way to beat you. Everybody and their mother and their brother and their cousin and their dog know what he's going to do. He was in there with Jorge Masvidal, Carlos Condit, Matt Brown. These are serious, very legit, very good fights. Carlos Condit was interim champion. Jorge Masvidal might be in the running for an interim title shot now. They knew it was coming. They trained months and months, and they still could not stop it. And even then, guys like Condit, Masvidal, they're good on the ground. They have enough to keep out of danger, get back to their feet. And once it got there, it was almost academic. I mean, Masvidal surprisingly put up the best fight. This guy couldn't get Tyron Woodley down once. He couldn't get him down once. How hard is that to do? That is not easy. To kind of just get lost that this guy completely shut down this guy's game plan and made him look like an amateur. Okay, yeah, he didn't finish him. But even like Joanna said in an interview, you can't just ask these fighters to just jump in and take risk. And this is their life. This is their livelihood. They plan to fight more. They want to make as much money as they can. They want to be in the sport as long as they can because it's such a short time. When Dana White made the comment, oh, well, you take no risk, you get no reward. You get in there, fight then. You go get risky. These are people, and also, what if he takes a risk? His labor was messed up. He gets what? I want to get the finish. He goes in there, gets taken out, he gets submitted. He loses his title. He doesn't get that Reebok championship payday. He's not going to be in the main event. He loses out on money for months to come. And considering that he's not liked as an exciting fighter, the chance for him to get a rematch and get back in title picture is Tyron Wood is very smart. He knows this. You can't expect a fighter to do that. I don't get why Dana White, and Tyron said in his quotes on Ariel Helwani show the next day, you're supposed to promote your fighter, not demote your fighter, man. Come on.
Basically, he could have just gone out there and said exactly what we've just said. He just took down this, stopped 21 takedowns, won on points. And I think it's the same, touching back on Floyd Mayweather, is people say he's like a boring fighter because he doesn't go in there and brawl and stand toe to toe. But when you appreciate the art, how he moves and how he dodges these punches and how he just, makes Arturo Gatti look like an amateur sparring partner. And stops him, I think, in the 8th round, But just Canelo, Pacquiao, people say the Pacquiao Mayweather fight was, underperformed. It wasn't what the fans wanted to see in that. And I get that, but in the same sense, I just think that's how good Mayweather is. He makes people that are world class just look like me going in there.
And the thing Tyron also made is his quotes after the fight was, he was saying, I don't understand. He doesn't defend me, but then he makes excuses for Sage Northcutt. Oh yeah, he's in the hospital day before dehydration, whatever. He makes it's sad when he's a promoter and he clearly shows favorites. He showed uber favoritism to Ronda, to Conor, to a lot of people. And I don't get it. Like you just said, he could exactly say what we're saying. What is the harm? You're the promoter. Just say, you run the company line. You're trying to sell these guys. Why? To me, it almost feels, and I asked you on this too, it almost feels like he's purposely trying to diminish his value because he's not a fan of him or whatever, and because he doesn't sell enough pay-per-views in his view, though you're not helping him. So when contract time almost comes around, you almost wonder, like, well, see, you didn't sell pay-per-views. You didn't make a lot of money for us. So, I mean, we're going to offer you this amount, and we're not going to overpay you. It's like, he's still one of the best fighters on the planet. Sell that to your fan base. Like, they're willing to listen. He's an amazing fighter. He shut down a guy who ran through everybody. I think Damian Maia had like a 7-fight winning streak. You know, former middleweight world title contender. That's easy to sell. Even when he talked, like, I'm a huge Georges St. Pierre fan. There's not much difference in Georges St. Pierre's fights in terms of excitement level than Tyron Woodley's when George became champion. When George became champion the second time, there was Dan Hardy. He didn't finish Dan Hardy. He didn't finish Thiago Alves. He finished BJ just because BJ was so tired. You know, he didn't finish Johnny Hendricks. All those wins he had, most of them were not finishes, because when you hit the highest levels, it's hard to beat these guys, to finish these guys, because the window to making a mistake and it costs you is so it's bigger. You know, you get in more trouble. So, but yeah, Georges St. Pierre, he never called Georges St. Pierre boring. When Georges St. Pierre has the most, I think, the record for most time inside the octagon, he's not calling him boring. Like, he sure stays in the cage all day. No, because he sells pay-per-views, but because Tyron was not selling it enough and he's not helping him sell it, he's like diminishing him. And, you know, like you said, like, there's Floyd Mayweather fights are interesting. That the first 6 rounds are fascinating because you're like, okay, how is this guy going to try to have a chance? Mm-hmm. And then by round 6 or 7, you're like, wow, this guy's not going to has a no chance either. He's going to lose. He has nothing to offer. And then the last 6 get kind of boring, you know, in a way, because he's so much better and he doesn't finish them. But that's fine. That doesn't mean I don't appreciate what he's doing and how hard it is and how easy he's making great fighters look pathetic. And that's what Tyron did. You know, yeah, you'd want to see explosive knockout. I don't understand. He just had 2 really pretty good fights with Stephen Thompson. You know, and Tyron also made a great point too. Why do they not blame the other fighter? Why don't they say, Damian Maia, you should have really went at it and throw some hands and took your chances? Like, it's Tyron's fault because he's the only one in there, obviously. You know.
Man, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I saw Tyron's comments as well, I think, after, and he was like, Dana, you need to give me an apology, otherwise I'm gonna expose some secrets or something.
Oh, I wish he would have leaked some stuff. Oh, I wish.
I'm wondering. I mean, we could theorize here because I've got no idea. Like, but if you've got any theories that you might want to throw into the ring, I'm open to hearing what you think it could be.
I mean, yeah, I really have no idea. But if we look at things, I mean, he's an announcer for the company, you know. So who knows what he's maybe seen backstage, or, you know, maybe preparing for training. But he's a champion, so he's at the highest level, so he deals with the brass closely. He knows a lot of fighters. You know, he's affiliated with ATT, but also he's trained at the performance. You know, he knows the Performance Institute. So I don't. Yeah, it's hard to guess. But I mean, he's a guy at the highest level, so he gets to deal with the highest people. So, you know, maybe he knows some interesting things about some of the people that, you know, you think, okay, we're cool, you know, you're a champion, not going to say anything. And maybe he could, you know, it's interesting. Or maybe he's, you know, it's just a smart play, you know, because not too long after I saw a headline talking about that things have been smoothed over. Yeah. So maybe he just, you know, he was playing a smart play. Maybe he does know some interesting things about Dana or what he does or who he's with or whatever's going on. But, you know, they're not beefing anymore, so.
Maybe he just knows that Dana goes to the strip clubs and secretly goes to Floyd Mayweather strip clubs, you know. He ain't even supporting Conor McGregor. He's taking the money from the McGregor Mayweather fight, the high percentage. He's going to the McGregor, going to the Mayweather strip clubs, and Tyron knows all about that.
What's crazy is that what made UFC so great compared to boxing? You know, I've been like a diehard MMA fan in general, it's like going on 11, 12 years now. What made it so interesting was the brand. Like, the UFC brand is, you go watch UFC because you know you're going to see some entertaining stuff, you're going to see some good fights, some crazy action. So you watch the brand, you know, and in boxing, it's about the fighters, the big names. Like, who cares about an undercard for the most part? You know, unless it's on a big, you know, cable network, then they'll sell a fighter to you and build them up. But it's changed now, like, because Dana has started to show like this weird favoritism in the last 5-6 years to certain fighters. He's making it about the fighter now, And what's unfortunate is because he makes it about certain fighters and they try to sell in a certain way. And part of it is the fighters need, credit for selling the fights themselves. Like Conor's a fantastic promotional guy. But the fact that a card that had Tyron winning Demian Maia, Cyborg winning her title against Evinger, and then one of the best rivalries, one of the great historic fights, leading up to Daniel Cormier and John Jones. Like, that's a historic fight because it's one of the best ever in their prime. But the fact that didn't break 1 million and only had 800,000 buys, like, how is that possible? Like, so what's going on? Is it there because Conor's not on it, Ronda Rousey's not on it? It doesn't break 1 million. I would think, if a card back in the day you had Brock and George on it, UFC 100, that broke 1 million easy. Like it's like that set a precedent. Like, oh, it was about Brock and George, so now we got to go more about the fighters so we can get 1 million instead of the brand. It's like that's the weird change and how that's gone. And you see now more than ever, fighters are getting upset. The Reebok deal. Fighters are way more disgruntled now than they were, 5 years ago. They're getting wise to this concept. Like, yeah, maybe the UFC is not the only place I can be. Maybe there are other options because they don't treat me like other places would.
No, I mean, maybe Dana White's just being a shitty promoter for the UFC at the moment, like because he's got his favourites. Do you know what I mean? With the whole Daniel Cormier and John Jones fight, I mean, I follow down. I'm not like a massive die-hard fan. I've only followed it for 3-4 years.
Yeah,
but that fight, I didn't know about it until 3 weeks before it was on. And maybe that's just because I haven't, I'm not paying much attention to the news articles and whatever. But with a McGregor fight, it's just everywhere, YouTube, boof, all these YouTube videos, press conferences, it's news feeds in Facebook, Twitter, social media, and I didn't really see much of that with the Cormier Jones fight. Obviously for you I'm sure it's different from what because you're surrounded by that, but I just think for reaching the average guy who maybe doesn't follow UFC religiously, they need to try and work better at pinpointing that niche, if that makes sense, that market of people that aren't religiously going through the UFC websites or whatever.
I agree.
3 title fights, or 3 great fights. 3 massive fights on the last card, and in my opinion, I didn't really know much about it until a month before.
Yeah, and I think they just assume, oh, we'll put on a countdown show and everybody's gonna watch it. I mean, there's some people that don't hear, at least in the States, that there's the Fox Sports networks. There's 2 of them. Some of them have Fox Sports 2, or some of them, So I think they just think that. But it shows you the power of social media because people like Conor and certain fighters have such a huge social media following that all they got to do is put up some stuff, and then their fans will share it, and it'll just become viral. And I think that's what the UFC has to do. They have to do what they can to build their fighters, especially on social media. A perfect example is Derek Lewis. He's doing it. Even Chase Sherman, and I think a lot of fighters are seeing it. You have to build yourself in social media. And now a guy like Derek Lewis, while he's good, he's gotten a lot of attention now because he's popular there. He's garnering your interest. You have to do those things, and it's. Some of it falls on the fights, but it's got to be on the promotion. You're the promoter. Why does the fighter have to do all this work to sell themselves? Sell them on social media, get them in all kinds of interviews, do all kinds of stuff. I mean, if you look at it, I'm a WWE fan, I'm a wrestling fan. You look at, they're on TV every week, and they're all across the world. But some of their wrestlers who aren't even their best wrestlers, they'll have hundreds of thousands of followers and 1 million followers. And it's wow, what are they doing? Because they push hard on social media, real hard. And you look at certain fighters I don't know, Jorge Masvidal, who's on fire, and maybe he has 36,000 followers. Damn, 36. I mean, it takes the uber elite. I bet you even probably maybe look at Demetrius Johnson. I don't think he probably has 1 million followers. Maybe he's in the hundreds of thousands.
I think he's in 100,000 plus, because I looked at his Twitter feed and I was just thinking, man, this guy's reachable. I could tweet him and potentially get a response here. Whereas when you look at people who have got 900,000, 1 million followers, you're thinking they get messages and tweets all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I don't get why they don't. I mean, and that's not to say the UFC's marketing isn't smart. They're super smart. They know what they're
Yeah.
doing. They took a brand that was like damaged goods and made it a global thing. But you know, that's the thing. They pushed the brand for so long instead of the fighters. And now when they're pushing fighters, they push certain fighters. And then to go about saying, well, this guy you really should watch because he's exciting, because this guy is not as exciting. And that's why we have the meathead fans that will boo when there's grappling and hate, you know, this kind of stuff, because they're only thinking knockouts are worth it, and they're not just sitting there appreciating the art and the talent. Like George St. Pierre, yeah, he didn't have a lot of finishes in his second title run, but I loved watching him fight because what he would do, his dominance, like his transition from striking to grappling, I mean, just high level stuff. And while a lot of MMA fans are really educated, there's a whole big contingent of these mainstreamers that aren't educated, and they're just like, come on, hit each other, what's going on, you know. So
I mean, why don't maybe like you should, in my opinion, if it's like you said with the brand, people say Conor McGregor, for example, should tweet, you know, UFC 214s on. This fight's going to be amazing. You know, McGregor's got 1.5 million followers, give or take. That's a whole lot of people who are going to be like, oh, well, if McGregor says it's good, let's retweet this and fuck.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? But instead, and that's what I mean by like you said, like pushing the brand rather than, you know, you get UFC fighters who are slightly selfish who will just be like, kind of saying, just
I mean,
tune into this because I'm on it.
and because it's and I get why they're doing it. You know, they're you know, they're contractors, and they're you know, it's their thing. They're not, they still look at it as they're not part of a team, even though they kind of are part of a team. But yeah, no, that's a great idea, because what's funny is that when people like him or Ronda or some of these other fighters do tweet about a pay-per-view, it's new. It's like, oh wow, they were watching. Look at that. They thought it was something, they thought it was a good fight. So yeah, if they told their fighters, hey, you know, let them know, help other guys grow, that actually would make a difference. And that's the power of social media, you know, and so many places use it so well that they don't probably use it well enough. I mean, they do it good, but you know, Dana White tweets all the time, but we all know he's going to promote. We all think, he's just the promoter. He wants to make everything look great, but he's even hurt his own reputation, because he'll say one thing is great, then talk shit about the guy the next time, and then say this is all right, or he's gonna get a fight, and then I'm not gonna give the fight. It just, you know, he talks out of both sides of his mouth, so I don't think anybody takes him seriously anymore. So to do something like making the fighters kind of, you know, spread the word a little bit, that's good. I mean, why not help your other fighters grow? Because in the end, if a guy gets big and you're big, you make money together. Like if you're the only star, you know, like for example, like say John Jones versus Gustafsson. A lot of people didn't think Gustafsson had any chance. He can't beat John Jones. But maybe if Gustafsson was built up like a legitimate threat, sort of like I don't know who was recently built up like as a scary. Anthony Johnson. No doubt, Anthony Johnson was scary.
Yeah.
But you know, he got known because he was a scary striker, talented. You know, they built him up scary. They would have built up Gustafsson. You know, maybe that's a bigger thing, but that doesn't happen enough, and there's just too much focus on one fighter and stuff. So I mean, you get
even these big time sort of fighters that are followed on social media could fucking call out other fighters, hype their career up. Check out UFC 214 with this bum, blah blah blah. Or, I can't wait to get him. You know, Dana White, make it happen, and then everyone's just like fucking retweet.
Yeah.
And then this other guy who's a nobody or whatever's just suddenly bombarded with followers, and then everyone's like, this fight's got to happen, and they check out this guy's highlights, and they're like, actually, fuck me, he's a mean bastard. We want to see this fight. And then Dana White's like, well, this guy's got to fight this guy before he fights this guy, and then everyone's like, well, I'm going to tune in because I've seen the highlights. And it's just utilising who you've got around you, you know. Dana White, hit me up. I'm giving you all these social media fucking tips here. I want a job at the UFC.
And what's funny is, and I don't get this either, it's like the social media voice of fans is obvious, and they will retweet and it gets out there. So, but there's so many occasions like that. There was a time where it seemed like the UFC always gave you the fight the fans wanted. That's what was great about them too. That's what made me get interested, because that's happened so many times in boxing that there's this fight that clearly needs to happen and it doesn't. But the UFC was doing that for so long. Now they're doing this thing where there's a clear fight fans want and they still don't put it together. Like, perfect example. on the Fight Straight podcast this week, we're going to have Dustin Poirier. Him and Eddie Alvarez had a great fight. It ends weird. Eddie Alvarez hits an illegal knee while Poirier's down, and it's a no contest. The fight was entertaining, exciting. That would seem like a no-brainer to redo, and fans wanted it. But no, they go and do Eddie Alvarez and Justin Gaethje on the tough, because Gaethje's hot, and maybe they're trying to set up something else. It's like, why not give that to the fans? People want to see Gustafsson versus John Jones after their first fight. How did that fight not happen? That should have happened, or how long did it take for Habib and Ferguson to get together? How many times has Conor avoided people? Anderson's avoided people. They've gotten away from that, and I think it's turned some fans off a little bit. But that's an unfortunate thing too. They're not doing that as much, and they used to listen to the fans' voice, and now they're not as much as they used to.
What do you think about John Jones and Brock Lesnar? John Jones calling out Big Brock.
I wasn't surprised by it. There was the stories coming out before, leading up to that Brock might be, going back to UFC. I get it, but again, look, everybody wants to see, again, Gustafsson, John Jones. This is the fight. Gustafsson, after the loss to Anthony Johnson, he's rebuilt himself. He's on fire. He's looking great. John Jones comes back to reclaim the throne. Put him in there with the guy that took him to the limit. I love Daniel Cormier. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. He did an admirable job in the two fights, but Gustafsson is the guy that made John Jones dig deep. I still to this day I remember when John Jones in the 4th and 5th round dug deep, championship rounds, and gutted out that win. That's one of the greatest light heavyweight title fights ever. Everybody wants to see it, but the possibility of Brock Lesnar versus John Jones is your priority right now. It may not happen until next year anyway, but why is that the priority? And they've done so many times really smart that they'll have the next contender in the ring or in the cage. Why would you not have Gustafsson right there, especially after Jimmy Manuel lost early in the night? He's out. So Gustafsson should have been there. John Jones wins face-to-face. Do you guys want to see that? Everybody cheers. Fight sold. We set it up for whatever. But they weren't about him versus Brock Lesnar. I love Brock Lesnar. He's one of my favorite fighters ever. But we all know that's a pretty winnable fight. The reason why that's happening is to build John Jones' legacy again, make Brock Lesnar get some more money. But that's a pretty winnable fight for John Jones. And it's just like, why? Oh, because it sells. Oh, I might get 1 million buys. Great. So a fight that's like a freaky kind of fight for money instead of the fight everybody wants to see.
Yeah, I've got friends over here, and we were speaking about the John Jones, Brock Lesnar fight, and I was saying I think John Jones would, more than likely win, and they were like, "Nah, man, Brock Lesnar, absolute beast strength. If he takes John Jones to the ground, he'll just hold him down and ground and pound him into, he's like 60 pounds heavier or 40 pounds heavier." And I'm just thinking, yeah, but John Jones is agile, quick. Fucking head kicks, spin kicks, and he's more athletic. He can, I just think I'm not saying I'm Mystic Meg. In my opinion, John Jones Brock Lesnar's kind of only got a certain style, certain game. Yeah. He's just strong, big, he'll just take you down and just crush you. Whereas John Jones has just got so many different things in the locker. Different techniques in the locker, different ways to expose an opponent. So yeah. It's not the fight I personally want to see.
No, it'll be fun. It'll be kind of historic in a way, and not to take anything away from what Brock Lesnar did. What Brock Lesnar did was incredible. One fight, goes in the UFC, really was beating the heck out of Frank Mir and gets caught. He goes and beats Randy Couture, the legend. But this is a different time, and you've seen it when Brock's had to fight them. The athleticism of fighters is just getting higher, and even as the higher weight classes, this isn't Randy Couture. You take him down, he's gonna have to work real hard, probably use the cage, get back up with Brock Smith, like the faster guy, like John Jones. Okay, let's just take the striking out of it, because we know what's gonna happen if they had to strike. Let's say Brock gets him down. This is an era where we've seen guys like, even Jorge Masvidal, because he's gone up in weight as a 55er to 170, or Frankie Edgar, that it's not, things aren't equal. Guys have gotten so good, so athletic, the training's so good, they know how to quickly, explosive energy, and make their movement and get back to the feet, or a scramble. You're like, yeah, Brock might get him down, but John Jones is so long, so athletic. I can easily see him scramble, make some distance, make some room, and get out of those. I mean, perfect example, Cain Velasquez. Brock got him down, and Cain got up relatively quickly. I mean, yeah, Cain has probably a better pedigree in wrestling than John Jones, but John Jones has taken to this sport like a fish to water. Like, I have no doubt in his gym, Greg Jackson is one of the best in the world. He would know if I have ways to get back up. And if Brock, just like the Cain fight, if he gets him down and he gets back up, you see the confidence go out of him. Like, he's like, oh, I got to do this again. And he's only slowed down. I think that's a tailor-made fight for John Jones. John Jones, just like, Floyd would take his choose his opponents in certain cases. He knows why he's fighting him. He knows he can beat him. He knows even if he got him down, he can get back up. I mean, Daniel Cormier had trouble getting him down. Daniel Cormier is a faster Olympic-level wrestler. Like, that day of just, pure horsepower is enough to do things, it's not like that anymore, because the fighters get more technical, more expert level. Like, that's just not enough anymore. So, and then also, Brock doesn't like to get hit. With John Jones, like, that was the advantage Brock had against Randy Couture. These long, massive arms. Like, even Randy Couture said, like, it was like a snake rolling out at him when he hit him with the shot that knocked him down. John Jones probably has length on him. So what does he have? He doesn't have the length. He's not going to be a faster puncher. He doesn't kick. He's not going to throw anything interesting. He's going to do his little, and kind of wait. Hopefully he'll get a takedown. John Jones would just pick that man. Imagine John Jones start doing the elliptical kicks to Brock to his front leg. Oh my lord, it will be trouble.
What's going on with Ronda Rousey then? Is she retired?
I mean, the latest word is she's doing her wrestling training. Like, the stuff I've seen recently is there's in WWE on their network, they're doing a tournament. They actually did a tournament for cruiserweight wrestlers, which are wrestlers 205 pounds or lower. I think it was last summer, maybe, yeah. And they did a tournament of the best cruiserweights in the world, and they had a winner, and then the winner, had the cruiserweight title. Now they're doing the women's version because it's a great way to find new female wrestling talent, to get some other names known, to get content for the network. So they're doing a women's tournament, and in the tournament is one of the 4 horsewomen, Shayna Baszler. And from what I've seen, like, it hasn't been released. They pre-recorded the tournament, and I don't think it's been on the network yet. Supposedly, Ronda and the other horse ladies of her crew were at ringside, and in WWE, there's 4 women wrestlers that made it up from their minor leagues or NXT, which is like the almost a AAA or the minor leagues of wrestling, to the main roster. And they were calling themselves the 4 horsewomen. So supposedly at this tournament, Shayna Baszler, I guess she lost her match or whatever, but she got into an altercation with the WWE 4 horsewomen and with her 4 horsewomen. And 4 horsewomen, I'm throwing all over the place, but the word I'm hearing is she's possibly doing some training to do a match at either Survivor Series, which is the November WWE pay-per-view, or for WrestleMania. Like, she's probably maybe going to do wrestling, because she was at WrestleMania, I think, 3 years ago now, 2-3 years ago. She did a little segment with the Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. So she got a taste. She wants to do it. She's a fan of this stuff. She loves wrestling. So I think that's more likely. I don't think she's coming back. I think she's going to make a big fat payday for WWE, probably make like 6 figures at least to work 10 minutes and keep in shape and train. And honestly, that's what Brock Lesnar did, and I think most people would probably do it. I mean, Josh Barnett has gone to pro wrestling, a few other people.
It's mad. I mean, I think the sport's moved on so quick.
Yeah. Yep.
Since I spoke to Phil about it, and we were talking about how Ronda was kind of just really good for her time, but the quality wasn't as good, and now you're getting sort of jiu-jitsu black belts who are sick at striking, and she just can't compete. So yeah, I mean, maybe that's her next move. Move, in my opinion.
I know, and I honestly agree, and I'm a big Ronda Rousey fan. I saw all her fights in Strikeforce, from the first one on the Strikeforce Challengers. I've seen all of her fights. And when she got big in women's MMA, it was similar to men's MMA 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe more 15, where you could have this one dominant style that really hasn't, not, it's almost like Lyoto Machida, what happened with him and his karate. She brought in a high level of a specific dominant kind of style that just no one at that time was prepared for. They couldn't handle it, and it took a lot of time, a lot of tape, a lot of people going through the process to finally figure out Lyoto Machida. And it's the same thing with her. She had such a dominant style that it took a while to figure out. And then you said it perfectly, like the women's MMA, it's come along quick. It came, like, while it took like 10, 15 years for the men to kind of come along to these super well-rounded athletes, it happened real quick in women's MMA. And you got a Holly Holm and Misha Tate just took another step forward with her striking, and some of these other fighters. And she just never developed enough. And I even as a fan fell into seeing her beat Betcha Correa and Sarah McMahon. Like, man, her clinch is good, her striking's come along. Man, she's really become a total package. I knew she could get hit, but I was kind of maybe like, it'll come along. And her striking, I remember watching I think it was a pre-fight analysis. I forgot who was talking about, but they were making a point that, she really just throws her jab so she can kind of get close, grab people around the head, and go for the throws. And people got wise to that. They saw the tape. They understood it. So someone like Holly Holm, I always thought if Holly Holm avoids a takedown, keeps movement, that's just a bad matchup. Footwork, ability to pop, hit shots, and move around. And that was just, it showed the massive holes in her game. Like, her striking, she doesn't move her head. Her striking is very robotic and straight. It's all to set up her takedown. So if you can pot shot her and move away, I mean, she's in trouble. And then the Amanda Nunes just, further showed it, because Amanda Nunes hits fast, hits hard. She just never evolved. And the bad thing for her, and even the fans said it, she probably should have went to another camp. And I respect her loyalty to, Edmund Taverdian, and I dig that, and that's great. But, if you're losing, you haven't seen great fighters. Georges St. Pierre evolved. He went from one camp to Greg Jackson, then he went to TriStar. There's a lot of fighters at American Top Team that they didn't start at American Top Team. They started somewhere else. Like, you have to go in there and sharpen metal with metal. Like, you have to force yourself to get better. Like, you have to go in there and lose. You have to go in there and get beat up in the gym and to grow. And she's fighting the same people and not really growing. And once people got wise to it, it was just, it was all hands on deck for a beatdown. It was bad.
I remember years ago, it must be a few years ago now, everyone was calling Ronda Rousey the Mike Tyson of MMA. Because her striking was so, big. And then people were like, Ronda Rousey, Floyd Mayweather, could it ever happen? And I'm thinking, what? Fucking Floyd Mayweather, Ronda Rousey. Like, imagine if that happened. And obviously she was on ESPN and she got voted for some award, and then she was like to the camera, do you know who I am now, Floyd? And they were like building some hype train, but obviously it was never going to happen. But that was some crazy talk for a while. But she's made money in the sport at the end of the day, was a great champion, and unfortunately the sport just evolved so quick, and she maybe didn't take the chance to go to a different camp and adapt and expand her skill set to an extent.
I mean,
go on, sorry.
No, you go.
Yeah, on the, like, Holly Holm was like a boxer.
Yep.
Before and then she went to MMA. What's to say Floyd Mayweather can't go into MMA and just do a head kick to Conor McGregor and that's it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could happen,
I'm hoping. We've seen like little hints and stuff like that here and there, but it hasn't happened yet. I mean, the only taste of a real boxer going to MMA was James Toney fighting Randy Couture. And that was a weird fight. It was like a fun fight. Everybody kind of forgets about it. Everybody looks at, Conor and Floyd, kind of think, oh, that's the first time these two worlds have collided. No, that happened years ago. Like, James Toney fought Randy Couture in a cage. He had the balls to go in the cage. That's how tough James Toney. That guy's legit. But I'm hoping like somebody makes the transition. Like there was a time that there was rumors that Bellator was talking to Tyson Fury. That would have been interesting. Stipe keeps calling Anthony Joshua. That would be interesting. I mean, the one that excited me was Amir Khan throughout, maybe something I could think about doing, maybe I do it. And that'd be fascinating because if you can just teach these guys to avoid takedowns, the hand speed of a boxer, their movement. I mean, the training has come so far that you can really help somebody and learn a lot. But I mean, perfect example. It still takes years and years to really get this stuff. CM Punk. This guy goes into training. He's been training at one of the better camps out there. He's training for like 6 months, year, whatever. He gets in there, and Gall takes him down like that. Like, he knows what's coming. He knows how to avoid it, but it's hard. Like, so even if you get a great fight like that, or even if Floyd were to get in there, like, to learn the techniques, and that's why I love MMA, because what these people do, some of these kicks, some of these techniques, how hard they are to do. Even if you get him in there and train for a little bit, like, he still needs years and years to get it right, which is why Conor is probably going to get his ass handed to him, because you need years and years to really know how to box right. And this guy's been doing it for like 25 years now.
I think one of the good exceptions to the rule as well is Cody No Love Garbrandt. I can't pronounce his second name, with Dominic Cruz. Yeah. And Cody was, I think, a boxer beforehand, and I think
he has some wrestling background. I think he might have wrestled, maybe not in high school or college, so he has some kind of basic setup for that.
But he was doing, I'm sure he had done some boxing and a little bit of wrestling, like you said, and he went in there and destroyed Dominic.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I mean, he was fucking dancing and showboating and banging, and now you've got. I mean, I'm looking forward to TJ.
Yes.
That's the one for me.
That's the fight that should be like, like social media and UFC should be pushing the heck out of, like, just like they should have really pushed hard on John Jones and Daniel Cormier. I mean, 800,000 is still a really good number. I mean, that's not in the sneeze at, but that's the fight. I mean, I'm excited for that. I'm a TJ Dillashaw fan. I like his style. Cody is a must-watch fighter. These are two guys that are two of the better fighters in the world. One's the champion, one's the former champion. I mean, honestly, the TJ Dominic Cruz fight was really close. I thought TJ won it, but whatever. And they're both in their prime. They're great strikers. They're fun to watch, and they have a legitimate beef. Like, this goes deeper than I don't like you, you don't like me. Like, these guys were friends. They're not friends anymore. I mean, that was the most entertaining thing about this last season, The Ultimate Fighter. Like, this is a fight. Like, this is kind of, again, like Cormier and Jones. This is like a period in time that it has to be encapsulated as important, because this is a big fight. This is where Cody Garbrandt becomes a superstar, or the beginning of a trilogy, or whatever. Or we see, like, TJ Dillashaw is really a hidden gem that needs more talk, And what he did to Dominic Cruz is amazing. Like, that, Dominic Cruz is a guy who, like a Lyoto, like just a puzzle that was so hard to figure. He didn't dominate people like his name, but he still beat people, and great fights. Like, this guy beat Demetrius Johnson. Like, everybody feels speed kills. Demetrius Johnson, like, he lost it. That's Demetrius Johnson's last loss. So, to beat him so bad was amazing. Yeah, I can't wait. And also, I mean, I hope the rumors are true. I saw a rumor maybe about 2-3 weeks ago that on that same card, we may get Frankie Edgar versus Max Holloway. And, oh, man, that's another one. If that fight could happen, woof, boy.
Yeah, I mean, with like we said about the UFC maybe not giving the fans what they want to see, and then they're pulling these out of the bag. But it's just whether or not they build the hype train enough. I mean, Cody and the Cody and Dominic fight, I saw the smack talking or whatever beforehand, where they're sitting there talking, and then Cody's like going to go over there, and Dominic's like, is he coming over now? I hope he's coming over, like, ready to take it. And I was just like, man, these two don't really like each other, and that's fair enough. And I think Cody's just got, like, he just doesn't like anyone,
Yeah.
he fucking hates Dominic Cruz, and he still dislikes him to an extent, And then you've got TJ, and Conor McGregor predicted that TJ was a fucking snake, and Cody stuck up for TJ, and now they're getting it on, and Conor McGregor was right. But I mean, I don't really know all the ins and outs of that sort of story. I don't know whether you do, but with Uriah Faber and the camps, whatever.
It's a weird thing. Like, the funny thing is, when you watch the season of Tough, to me, the impression I got is they don't want to say it because they're all tough guys and everything like that. But I feel like Alpha Male was hurt, like genuinely hurt that Cody left. Like, he was their friend, and they can say all this stuff. But that's the impression you get. Like, they're bothered. Like, they just don't want to vent. Like, they can probably use a good therapist and talk it out and it'd be good for it. But, I mean, and from all occasions, what the stuff I've read and heard about was TJ is close with Dwayne Ludwig. He came in and Team Alpha Male, and he helped out a lot in terms of striking. You know, he took TJ, he helped Joseph Benavidez, he helped Cody, he helped, you know, a few fighters really get much better striking. And he had a falling out with Uriah. You know, sometimes people just don't get together, and Uriah runs the gym, and he kind of dismissed them. And Dwayne and TJ developed such a strong relationship that Dwayne went back to Colorado where he used to have his gym, and he preferred to train with him also because the gym they opened up in Colorado was this new style gym where they're paying fighters to train there. I guess they're trying to garner interest in certain gyms, so they're willing to pay them. That doesn't happen. Like, the only time a fighter gets paid is for their fight. They got to pay their trainers and stuff like that, and that's it. So I can't blame TJ. I mean, maybe there's more things. Maybe there's a beef to it. But if TJ is going to go train with this guy who is now a close friend who's helped him get to championship levels, he's the one that really took TJ from primarily a wrestler type to a great striker, and you're going to get paid just to train along with your regular pay for showing and winning. You know, again, like I said before, like, there's a small window for these fighters to make money. If that's a chance for him to make money, I can't blame him. Like, yeah, you don't want to leave your friends, but, you know, if you got a family, he's got a wife, developing family, yeah, go there, make your money, because you can't do this forever. So I would have probably did it too, and you know, I get the betrayal thing, but it's not like, you know, there was like an icon in the Team Alpha Male, you know, gym, a trophy, and TJ stole it and brought it to Colorado, and he's keeping it hostage. Like, you know, people got to do what they got to do. So I'm surprised they're not more. He wanted to leave. Oh, well, his loss. We're our Team Alpha Male. We're a better camp. He's going to lose, whatever. But they're like genuinely hurt. They're bothered by it, and I love it.
Right. Going full circle, last question I'm going to ask you, because then I've got to shoot off, so if it's okay to wrap this up. But my last question is, who wins, McGregor or Mayweather?
Oh, my God. Mayweather's going to win. I think it's going to be similar to the other Mayweather fights where it's going to hit around. It's going to go. Conor will probably have his moments. He'll throw some big shots. He'll push forward, and then we'll all start realizing around round 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, yeah, Conor doesn't have anything to offer. This isn't what I thought. Floyd has gotten us again. He's dominating another guy again, and I really feel like Conor is going to get frustrated. He's going to take some chances. He's going to make some bad mistakes. Floyd will lay some traps, because what Floyd does is he'll show you something, make you get used to it, and take it away and give you something else. That's why he's one of the best ever. Like, his IQ is phenomenal. And I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere between the 8th and 10th round we start seeing knockdowns, and at some point Conor's finished. I just think he's tough. Even Floyd said in an interview yesterday, if he doesn't get a knockdown, it's almost a win for Conor. I don't think he wants to give Conor any kind of win. Yeah, he's going to save face, and he's going to want to make sure he wins in general, but I just feel this is set up for a Conor McGregor knockout. You know, getting knocked out in, like, I'm going to say 9th round. He gets knocked out.
There's the prediction, fight fans. Lay all your money on it. This guy knows what he's on about. Jason knows what he's on about. Cheers for coming on, man. I'll talk to you off camera quickly anyways. Massively appreciate it. I'll tag all your links and stuff in the box, so anyone who wants to go and check out your site, Instagram, and the podcast that you're running, that will be tagged below. Anything you want to say at all? If you want.
No, I mean, just you know, if you're out there, look for the Fight Strength podcast with me and Phil Daru. He's an American top team strength and conditioning coach. The guy has a wealth of knowledge, unbelievable, super smart on the topic. He trains great fighters, champions like young Jacek. Give us a look. You know, we're on iTunes, Google Play Music, YouTube, SoundCloud, and we just got approved yesterday for iHeartRadio. So it's a 5 points of attack streaming service we're going with. So look for us there. And if you're a New York fan, you like New York sports, look for the Empire State Sports Talk show I'm doing. And hope you listen to us and listen to the JB podcast. This is the shit, yo. This is a good show. Listen to it. Come back for more.
Cheers for the hype, bro. Cheers for the massive hype train. Right.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Below. Check it out. I'll stop recording. Peace.